Hi, my name is Amy Whitecotton, and I'm so honored that Grace invited me to tell my clinical trial story. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in September of 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic, at the age of 41. When my biopsy results came back as triple negative breast cancer, I was devastated. I had lost a dear friend a year before to triple negative breast cancer, and while I was undergoing my testing, my nephew had lost his mom to triple negative breast cancer. I was terrified. I knew that triple negative meant that they couldn't use hormones to treat my cancer. I had to do chemo. Because I live in the Houston area, I'm lucky enough to be able to receive my treatment from one of the top cancer hospitals in the world, MD Anderson. At the time of my diagnosis, MD Anderson was actually targeting triple negative breast cancer with their Artemis clinical trial. One of the reasons that I had no hesitation in participating in the Artemis trial was that there was not going to be any delay in treatment. The plan was to go ahead and proceed with AC chemo because it worked for triple negative in a lot of cases. By the time I had finished my cycles of AC chemo, the research team would have the information they needed about the biomarkers of my tumor. If the chemo wasn't working the way that the doctors thought it should, then they could introduce my clinical trial drug. Well, after 4 rounds of AC, my tumor had shrunk, just not as much as the research team would like. So they introduced a drug called enzalutamide because my tumor was androgen receptor positive. Now, enzalutamide is traditionally used to treat metastatic prostate cancer. So it's kind of a joke that, I took my prostate cancer drug. When I saw that my tumor was like 95% androgen receptor positive, I had hope that this drug may be the key. So I started the next phase of my chemotherapy, which was Taxol. I would go once a week for my Taxol infusions, but in addition to my weekly Taxol infusions, I was taking a daily oral dose of enzalutamide. After 6 weeks of this Taxol enzalutamide combination, they did a scan and they couldn't find a tumor. At the end of my whole chemotherapy, there was no evidence of a tumor. It was just a tumor bed on the scans. So I was thrilled. After chemotherapy was complete and after my trial drug was done, I had a mastectomy and was cleared NED, no evidence of disease. I have had 3 years of NED, and I'm so grateful and truly believe that my clinical trial drug saved my life and gave me these past 3 years. 3 years is a big deal in the triple negative world, according to my oncologist. My chances of recurrence go down drastically, and then 5 years is the big milestone. So I'm excitedly looking forward to hitting my 5 years in ED and celebrating with my family. I am so, so grateful that I was able to participate in this clinical trial. I'm grateful that I was able to know about the additional biomarkers at the beginning of my diagnosis, and that the researchers were able to implement targeted treatments automatically once my chemotherapy proved to not work quite as well as they wanted. I mentioned my friend earlier. I can only imagine the kind of impact that this research could have had on her life. When she was going through treatment, her chemotherapy did not work. I do encourage people to check out clinical trials. You never know. Worst case scenario, I think we're helping future generations and future patients. But best case scenario, a prostate drug could help your breast cancer. Thanks for listening. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to tell my story. And thanks to Grace for all the great work they're doing.